years and 10 months. Not that I'm that close to track.
Yeah. 9 News has been the market leader for how many years?
34 years.
34 years, okay. So we've got some pretty smart people at the helm. So this is your opportunity to ask him questions. So go ahead.
Yes.
I asked Manny earlier, but it's better to ask you. But what are you, or what is News 9 doing to create diversity within the newsroom?
It's sort of a process that happens on every level and sort of all the time, because obviously what you're trying to do is staff our organization with, we would always have said the best people that we can find, and what's happening right now with the industry means that there's another layer of that, which is people with multiple skills. So not only the best people, but the best people who can do a lot of different things, and so that has sort of adjusted what we're looking for. But we obviously, this isn't a sort of a unique viewpoint on our part that we want to reflect our community, and we know that our community is made up of a lot of different groups, and diversity means a lot of different things, but certainly it means ethnic diversity and cultural diversity, and things that we want to make sure that we're representing on our staff, both on the air so that we appear to the viewer to represent our community appropriately, but also that we're getting ideas and we're getting perspectives that are diverse within our own staff when it comes to deciding what to cover, how to cover it, and we need to make sure that all those things are true, so that someone behind the scenes who's helping us make decisions about what stories to cover and how to go about them and who to talk to, who are the best people to interview to help us understand what's happening, that those people who are behind the scenes are also helping us do that job. So we, obviously the NAHJ is one of the resources that we would use to find qualified people who can help us be better, as well as the Colorado Association of Black Journalists and the National Association of Black Journalists, and organizations that specialize in diversity and making sure that those diverse viewpoints are represented. But we also have to do it through the process of having an antenna up when we come across people who are talented, who we think will help our team, and sometimes that takes a while to from the initial contact that we would make with an individual. It might be years before they're actually working here, but we would hope that that would feel like a good thing both to them, to us, and the individual that was in that position, that we work together over time to make that happen. And there are many stories across our newsroom, whether they're diverse employees or not, who have fit that description of somebody that we talk to, and it may not have worked out immediately, but it works out over time, and it takes some patience sometimes, and it's something that you never really reach the point and say, well, we've got that covered, we're good. We never really do. It's challenging, but it's something that we obviously think is important and have to work on all the time.
Sorry, just going on
No,
with that.
that's right.
Have y'all in the past, or do you currently make your news reporters and your news team go through any kind of diversity trainings?
We don't have any formal program for that. I don't know if Lynn is aware of anything that the company offers in terms of formal diversity training. I think it's something that wouldn't hurt us, to do to establish that. We've done things like taken new employees on tours of the city to kind of describe what Denver is about. We try to provide demographic information about our audience, which is pretty important. Obviously, the most important thing to our news staff are who are the people that we're working for. And that's our audience. What is their demographic makeup? And that's everything, again, from ethnicity and cultural background to geography and income and education and outlook, religious outlook. You know, there's a long list of things there. We could do a better job of that. You know, I think it's safe to say we can do a better job in every, you know, one of these categories that we're talking about now, but we do take it seriously, and that's the important first step, I think. As Lynn said, I've been here for 19 years, and it's you get a different perspective, you know, after you've been in a community for a long time. And one thing that you learn that's really challenging about covering news in a place for that long is that you never get total agreement on your audience about who they are or what they want. In a lot of cases, you would think that you know, we can sort of stake out positions about how to cover certain issues. Immigration is clearly a very emotional topic on the part of our audience, but there are the emotions come from different directions, and there's no universal agreement. So you know, there are certain. I like to take the example of a universal value like you know, child abuse or child sexual abuse. That's something that I wouldn't see two sides to that issue. You know, child abuse and child sexual abuse shouldn't happen. And we're not going to come at that issue and say, well, maybe that's okay. You know, let's interview somebody who thinks it's okay that take place. But there aren't many of those issues like that are universally agreed upon. And most of the controversial social questions of the day have not just two opinions about, but sometimes 10 or 20 different outlooks. Not only in terms of how big is the problem, but what's the right solution to it, and you know, who's best positioned to deal with it, and it winds up being a very challenging exercise to go through to cover some of these topics where people really, and they have their antenna up when they're watching or reading what we post or what we say on television, and you can feel a little bit paralyzed sometimes, like you know, it doesn't matter what we say, somebody's going to blast away at us for being insensitive or wrong or you know, whatever, and they're sure that they know where we're coming from, and that is a challenge when it comes to covering you know, topics that deal with race and ethnicity. As I said, immigration is sort of has been at the top of that list for the last number of years, but I don't think it should make us afraid to cover it. And while we wouldn't stake out a position, we agree in making sure that everybody's voice is heard about it, and that's everyone's voice, from, you know, politicians who have, you know, their platform, and they obviously make a big difference when it comes to deciding how these things work out, but we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to weigh in on it, and that's how we approach those issues, although it can be a crazy ride, because they, you know, again, we get, I had a group in on Saturday, and I was telling them, if they had any pointed questions for me or criticisms or comments, to not worry about, you know, giving me those, because I get them 10 times a day, every day for 19 years, because it's just a constant. People tell us what they think all the time, and very often it's about something they're not happy about that we've said or written or done, or you name it. So but that, you know, that's news. That's not unique to us either at all. I mean, you know, I think I'm going to assume we get more feedback than other media in Colorado, at least other television, just based on our position in the market, our brand in the market. As the market leader, I think, is sort of a magnet for everything. It's a magnet for ideas, story ideas that people may want to share with us, but it's also a magnet for criticism, and, you know, you really don't think you did a very good job with this or that. And that's, you know, we've got to be okay with that. I think if you get a thin skin in this business, then it gets pretty hard to function, because there's, no matter what you do or what you say, somebody's going to be in line to say, well, that was rotten and you're a bad person. Even though, how would they know whether but usually it takes people a few minutes to figure that out. But that's life in news. Other questions? Yes? Oh, was there a question?